Welcome to the FLF pod. So we explore principles of wealth, freedom, and networking. So it's brought to you by J3VC. So here we dive into the strategies and insights that drive success in business and life. So whether you're an entrepreneur, leader, someone on a mission to create a meaningful impact, this is a place where wisdom meets action. So get ready and let's get started. So our guest today is Luke Hunter, and we're delighted to have you, Luke. And we know you a little bit behind the scenes, and you've got, I think, an incredible story, and would love to hear more about it. And I think what you have is a lot of value for guys who are, looking to grow their life and their business, make a recovery, make a change, take it to the next level. So why don't you introduce yourself for the audience, and we'll get going.
Yeah, no worries. Great to be here, Jeromie and Jason. Thanks for inviting me along. My name is Luke, as mentioned. I grew up in a little town, Sunshine Coast, up in Queensland. It's been a great lifestyle up this way, and been fortunate enough to travel a lot internationally as well. But more recently, the last 12, 13 years, I suppose, I jumped into business world and started my own business. Have also been involved in just some small residential investing as well over the last 20 years, buying and selling a few properties here and there. So yeah, it's all a journey, and one that's still continuing, that's for sure. You never stop learning. Jeromie, that looks good. We didn't organise that for everyone.
Bro, my lovely wife just walked in and gave me an espresso martini.
Well, there you go.
Can I order one of those? Can I order one of those?
Yeah, come to my house. We got cigars, martinis, steak.
Awesome.
Do you guys do delivery to Bali right now?
I'll pour it into a Gladlock bag for you and send it over.
That's great. Luke, I think one of the things that, we know about your story, and I think would be especially valuable, is you've made probably a really interesting change, at a time when a lot of men don't make a change or tend to feel stuck. What was the catalyst for that? Because, typically a lot of, guys will slow down or feel, that they need to make a change, but not know where to begin. And yours has been quite substantial in multiple areas of your life. But going back a little bit before that, what was the catalyst for that? Because we're only seeing you now, right? So we know you as you are now, but maybe if you could paint the picture a little bit of, what you were like before and the catalyst for this change.
Yeah, I think, I've done a lot and experienced a lot in life so far, but I wasn't achieving what I wanted to achieve, and my mindset was shifting. My bar was being raised for what I wanted out of myself and wanted to achieve, and I realized that things needed to change. I grew up not wanting to change. I am who I am. No one's going to change me, not fully understanding that you actually need to change and need to keep growing as a person. And that's what we're naturally designed to do. So that was the first realization. And then you start to look at, obviously, the people that you're involved with, associated with, hanging out with, and that's a true reflection of where you are and essentially who you are, how you think. And that hit me pretty hard. And it wasn't until changes were made there that you're able to open up and be open to meeting new people that aligned with what you actually now want to achieve and grow into as a person. So I guess it was just that realization of growth is needed and required. You need to evolve as a person. and having that kind of mindset shift, that's where it all started.
Yeah, and did you have a vision or a picture in your mind that went along with that mindset shift?
Not really. I still, I've suffered from complacency and procrastination a lot, and that was through lack of clarity and direction. That's where those things come from. So if ever you feel stuck or you feel like you're just sort of pushing something aside that you should be doing or whatever, it's because you don't know exactly why you are or should be doing it. Where's the end goal, right? And it was actually just recently, within the last 12 months, that that really hit home for me. Even though I've done goal setting before and whatever, I was never really clear, and I think there was always an element of doubt as well that was possible for me. So even now, I'm still growing, evolving, and realizing things that need to change and get out of the way to open up for the next stage or the next phase or the next achievement and whatever that is. So I went off on a bit of a tangent there. I'm not sure whether I answered your question, actually, Jason.
Yeah, I think so, because what I was trying to get at, and I think one of the things that people are curious about is if I was in a similar situation, and I think a lot of guys are in a similar situation, like they're experiencing some of those same things. So why do you think a lot of guys are unable to make that transition? Like, I know that this is now borne a lot of fruit, like in your life, right? Physically losing 20 kilos in under 2 years, like transforming your life, like on a personal front, with your relationships, and transforming your business and the money you're making. Like, these are pretty substantial changes, but not everybody makes those changes. Not every man like is in the prime of their life in their early 40s and like making these amazing changes. So what do you think is holding people back? What do you think is those roadblocks for some of the other guys?
Ourselves. We're our biggest roadblock, and it's once you realize that you're the only thing holding yourself back, that's a big one. You can come up with all the blame, all the excuses for your current position, but one, it's taking full responsibility for it's the decisions you've made at the end of the day that have led to where you are now. And once I realized that, you start thinking and making better decisions, for one, right? And that's a practice, that's a skill that can be learned. Just making better decisions, and that comes down to every area of life and in everything you do. And once you take full responsibility, then you, at the same time, you empower yourself to think differently and act differently, dress differently, all these things, right? Because you've taken full responsibility. And once you then have that clarity of where you are now, that opens up further clarity for future direction then and what you actually want to achieve. So it's all about self-accountability, self-realization, acceptance of that. And it doesn't take long. It's never too late to start making better decisions. It's never too late to start getting fit. It's never too late to do any of these things, right? And just think of how powerful the changes could be in just a short period of time of, say, 3 years. If you made different decisions and really put time and effort into becoming a different person, you can transform your life in such a short period of time.
Yeah, so what you're saying is it's not the government, it's not the economy, it's not your parents, it's taking responsibility for your own life.
No, obviously they're all external influences that have influenced your life so far, but you're still in control of decisions. And you need to take full responsibility for that.
Yeah, I think that's such a powerful and probably forgotten. We all know it, but it's powerful and it's sometimes forgotten because everything in the culture is about blaming somebody else or finding excuses or thinking it's too hard, and it's a
Exactly.
foundational.
And that doesn't end. It
Yeah.
doesn't end, but because it's a skill that can be learnt over time, you get stronger at it and better at it every time you do it. Like I'm going through stuff right now that I haven't necessarily, as business grows and you come across different challenges. And you can't, unless you can face the challenges today and get through those, you won't be able to face the inevitable big challenges or larger challenges you will come across as business grows, as you grow, to be the next level person of yourself. Because it doesn't end. It doesn't get to this paradise where everything's just rosy. But is it worth it? 100%. Because you're growing and achieving different levels of things. You're growing as a person, which is an unbelievable feeling to look back over the last 12 months and look at what you've achieved. And that's on a personal level, a business level, however you look at that. That's what we're designed to do, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. It's what we're designed to do. Like it meets the core biological need, especially for men, to create and conquer and achieve. And I think you're correct. There's always another mountain to climb, and it's enjoyable. You can look back with a sense of pride and achievement as well, like that. That's reinforcing on the journey.
Yes,
I think,
and the
I
harder you work now, or the more you push yourself to reaching that next level of whatever that is, the more enjoyable it actually is. It's just a different kind of enjoyable, isn't it? So it's kind of I'm finding a lot more satisfaction and getting a lot more value out of each day, getting to the end of the day, the more that journey progresses. So
I'm very curious to hear, like, so there's obviously some people who've seen you go through this journey, because you've got family, and then there's other people that you've grown and moved different friendship groups and networks. The people who've seen you in the before and after, and they're seeing you go through this journey, how have they responded to you? How have they reacted to essentially like the growth and the changes that you've made?
Yeah, there's people I do run into from my past life, if you want to put it that way, and they're realizing a different person as far as not so much personality. There's just, I guess, they'll recognize there's a drive that wasn't there before. I guess, and then not intensity in a bad way, but I'm so focused now and so driven towards achieving a very clear picture of what I want to achieve in the future. That comes across. But then there's others more recently too that I've known over a shorter period of time and watched me over the last 12, 18 months just transform physically. I recognized that I wasn't as fit as what I used to be. I'd put on a fair bit of weight and all that kind of stuff, and I just made a decision to change, and that's where it all starts, right? I found a training program, started training every day without fail, whether I felt like it or not, and started, it's not rocket science, is it? Training and just watching what you eat a little bit, and it goes a long way. And now I'm pushing the boundaries there over the next little while as well, and going for it. And I think that's an important thing, because I think once I started training physically and started feeling better, the confidence boosted. the energy boosted. And so I think that's a good place to start for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, people are trying to figure out what order to start, and just getting the body right is a good foundation to get that clarity for the mind, build some confidence, and then stack it as compounding wins, irrespective of how you feel, train, move it forward. Talk to us a little bit about, I think you mentioned that, building wealth and getting more clear and focused on your financial journey of wealth building and freedom has really gone to the next level. And so talk to us a little bit about that, like how that's developed and grown from where you were before to where you are now, because I think a lot of people, and men in particular, find themselves sometimes at a crossroads in their wealth building journey, or found that they've made a lot of mistakes and need to get it back on track, and it can feel overwhelming. So you've obviously made some great steps forward. Like, talk to us a little bit about that in your journey so far.
Yeah, that's a journey, and I was a late starter here, meaning I didn't really make it a priority of mine to make anything more than I needed from month to month. I grew up surfing, and all my friends were in a similar thing. We spent more time surfing and thinking about surfing than making money. And that was life. I spent a long time, and that was it. I didn't, dream of doing what I'm doing now. So first of all, there was a decision there, and there was a shift in focus there. So it's been a bit of a journey through there. And one thing, coming back to self-realization, you got to realize certain things. Like I've been through a whole period, my life, of making money and losing money, whether it's just throwing it away traveling, or with no direction, or whatever, or you'd make money and it would just disappear somewhere. Something would come up, right? So that was something that I needed to sort out, and I still am. It wasn't until I properly, because it was nothing I grew up with. Certainly was a lot of money, that's for sure. And I never got taught to manage my finances, or budget, or anything like that. So that's where I really started exploring and finding courses, education online, and teaching myself, okay, how do you budget? Found a template. How do you manage your finances? How do you break that up? How do you apply that to business? How do I afford my first employees? All this stuff, I did my own research, found what I wanted to do. I've always been a part of some program or some course, and just learnt as I went, and built from there. So the amount of information online is incredible. You can learn so much, and it can be very cost effective these days. It's either free, or you jump into a generalized course where there's a lot of good information at a relatively cheap cost, right? And then it's just about learning and implementing. That's a good thing about this self-development and the amount of information online, because you can get better quality content now than what you'd find in any university. And in university, you've got to spend 4 years studying, and then you go out and hope for the best, right? Whereas this line of education, you learn, implement straight away. And it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. You can fast track a lot of things.
So you don't recommend being a lone wolf sitting in your room by yourself, just thinking about it?
No, definitely not. Get out there, find some people to talk to that are aligned, and ideally achieving what you would like to achieve, and feed off that, or at least people who are striving and on the journey there, or thinking about it, so that you've got that conversation that you can have with someone else. And that was something I left for too long. I've meeting awesome people now, and got a great network of people, and that's going to skyrocket progress and achievement.
I think that's such a great point, because if you think of the average person as they grow, or like grow in age and maturity, ironically, what happens is the quality of their network sometimes declines, and you're describing essentially the opposite. So you've utilized a network for your information gathering, applying that knowledge, developing skills in these areas that, you know, you've had to grow some skills in, whether it's like financial literacy or wealth management. So talk to us just a little bit on like how you see the value of network, and where I know it's a basic question, but where should people go? Like, how do you figure out who is a good person to trust, and you know, how do you figure out what group to belong to and join? Because, you know, there's many different options, and if it's a first time for someone or they're just getting started, like what would you suggest?
Yeah, it can be a process, and a process of sometimes a hit and miss, right? But just the fact of starting the process and exploring online and exploring different groups out there is the finding people, once again, who are where you would like to be or reached a certain level of success, whether financially, physically, or ideally all of that combined, right? Where everyone's on this journey, because there's a few main things in life that you need to be constantly striving towards, right? You've got your physical self, you've got your financial self, you can't escape that, and relationships, which comes in networking, right? And all are critical, and the importance and power of your network is underrated, understated, because I believe that'll make the biggest difference to a personal transformation than anything will. And finding a group of like-minded people to openly be able to talk to, inspire, work with is critical.
Yep. Yeah, and I think nowadays those communities or those people, well, in the previous generation or time, those people were found locally in your geographical proximity. But with the advent of the internet, information and knowledge age, that community is found irregardless of geographical proximity. Or you can stack them. You can stack the two, or maybe even have a combination like of the two. With with your journey in wealth building and moving forward, I think what you said, which is pretty significant, because a lot of men, a lot of people think this way, is I just need to make enough. I just need to, just have a little bit left over, or it comes and then it goes, and there's no real plan. I know you've been on a journey of investing in some real estate and then growing in that area. Talk to us a little about like why you've decided to go there. Like, what are some of the convictions and the beliefs that you have in that area? And it's obviously a journey you're on, and I think talk to us a little bit about that, because I think people would really be curious about that.
Yeah, real estate I've used a lot over the years. I bought and sold 5 properties now the last 20 years. So nothing major, but 3 of those were pure investments, and 2 we lived in and renovated, added value, and flipped. And it enabled me to invest in business and myself as well. So I used it not so much for building a massive portfolio, but used it for investment purposes. And it's one of those things that is a constant and always has been and always will be there. I think if done right, can, over the right period of time or length of time, make phenomenal, financial gains and progress throughout the period of time. So I think investing in property has a lot of potential still. It hasn't gone anywhere and never will. It's just doing it right. Like so many people, it's so easy. You get caught up a lot in, we've just seen it recently, for example, property prices just going sky high again, right? And everyone's freaking out and everyone's trying to jump on there, and it just makes it worse. It becomes this thing, right? And then all of a sudden, the inevitable little pullback in a few years' time will happen. It's being with the right people again, isn't it? And being in the network. So I think even more importantly with investments and property in particular, being such a large investment for a lot of people, especially, their first property or their first investment property, it's a big deal and it's a big commitment. You need to be with the right people who can show the way and support that process and maximize the return on investment.
Yep. Yeah, I think they're not separate or compartmentalized with what you're describing with your growth and your transformation on a physical front, with the people that you've been surrounded by, the network. It would be the same with your foray into investing and utilizing your returns to invest back in your business. It's about growing and finding the right network, finding the right partners to move to move it forward.
Definitely. And in the property game and property investment, right? You don't work with your personal trainer like you do training in property. You look for another mentor or group or network or specialist to be in there. You can't just carry one person through every area of your life. So network is powerful, but only powerful when you do it right and have the right network for the right area that you're wanting to progress in as well. Like there's a general network, but if you're looking to specifically, make a smart investment choice, whether it's property or anything else, you need to be working with the right people and specialists in that area as well.
I think that's
go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Luke. And I think that's what a lot of people don't realize and don't touch on is they'll get a personal trainer, they'll get a nutritionist, they'll get someone to help them learn how to code, learn a new skill. And then when a lot of people go to buy and sell property, unfortunately, what they do is they go to the real estate agent and ask them for help, not realizing that the real estate agent they're talking to, what's in their best interest is selling them a house. They don't care if it's a good investment. They don't care about any of that. The people don't realize that. And I think finding someone to help you in the journey of real estate is actually incredibly important because for most people, it's